Thanksgiving is one of the most heartwarming times of the year. It's a time of the year where we try to forget about the genocide of indigenous people and the fact that Chris Columbus was an incompetent jackass that didn't actually find America, and just sit back and relax at the dinner table with your family, dining on turkey, mashed potatoes with gravy, and I guess hamburger helper if you're on food stamps. And what a better way to celebrate such an uplifting holiday than talking about a Halloween film.
Yeah, I know, it's November, but I still want to talk about this movie, damn it. Also, this video was in production long before the Nostalgia Critic released his video, so don't even start with that shit in the comments.
Ryan, kill yourself!
Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween is one of the worst remakes of any film ever. Whenever I hear someone defend a remake that's as bad as this, they usually try to say something along the lines of, oh, you just have to put the original aside and it's a fine film. I'm sorry, but that's kind of impossible since the original Halloween is so ingrained into pop culture, and even if this film was its own entity and the original didn't exist, it would still fail miserably on its own. The original Halloween needs no introduction. It's highly regarded as a horror classic, and for good reason. The film understands that the best kind of horror is built with tension and suspense rather than jump scares and loud noises. And because the only thing we know about Michael Myers is that he's an escaped asylum patient hell-bent on killing people in his hometown, it makes the conflict feel all the more real, and we feel like we're right there with Jamie Lee Curtis experiencing the murder firsthand. And it was the mystery of what made Michael able to survive everything that he endured that made him more interesting. Of course, they had to ruin this in the sequels by adding telekinesis and cultists and other unnecessary shit that had nothing to do with what made the first film work. At the end of the day, Michael Myers was just a mad killer with an iconic mask and a thirst for blood. Now let's see how Rob Zombie handled this movie. So the movie begins with the cliche of starting off with a quote. Now usually a movie will take a quote from a real life person if the quote is significant to the film, but this film takes a quote from one of its own characters. I don't know, am I the only one who thinks this is kind of pretentious? I mean, it's like the filmmakers are saying, yeah, this movie's so deep we quoted one of our own characters because he's that much of a genius. Anyways, much like the original, we first see Michael Myers during his childhood. However, in the original, the only thing we know about Michael Myers' childhood is that he stabbed his sister and that's what landed him in the asylum. And in this version, Rob wanted to expand on that and tell a more detailed story about his childhood. So, okay. You want to give Michael Myers a more detailed backstory? I guess that's not a bad idea on the surface. I mean, they did the same thing to Hannibal Lecter, and that turned out... Okay, never mind. Whatever, it's one example. I wonder what kind of deep, tragic backstory Rob Zombie came up for Michael Myers. I bet it's awesome. So the movie begins, and the first thing we see is Michael Myers wearing a creepy mask and killing his pet mouse. Oh, so he's already a psycho. I mean, I figured if you wanted to tell a more detailed backstory, you'd at least show what Michael was like before things went wrong in his brain, but whatever. At least we'll get to see why Michael Myers is like this, and it'll be interesting and deep, right? Right? So we get to see Michael's family, and as it turns out, it's a stereotypical junkyard, white trash, shit-kick-it-hick family. Complete with a shitty house, a mom that's pissed at everything, a bratty teenage daughter, a baby that won't stop crying, and an abusive stepfather. You know, I can see why people in my hometown love this movie. Because, you know, if someone wants to kill a whole bunch of people, it has to be because their family is in the lower class, right? Just ask Elliot Rodger or Randy Stairs. Oh, that's right. Elliot's dad worked for Hollywood as an assistant director on the Hunger Games films. And Randy's parents had a nice house and a swimming pool in their backyard. It's almost as if the psychology of a killer runs a lot deeper than what's on the surface. And this blatant stereotyping is nothing more than an insult to the viewer's intelligence. Should we give Michael Myers a family that seems average on the surface with a clean-cut suburban house? Nah, that'll just confuse the audience. Let's just make everything in Michael's house seem as obviously bad as possible. Hey Rob, I'm sure you already know this, but you wanna know what other mass killer grew up in a seemingly normal household? Michael Myers in the original film, and it added to the mystery of what went wrong in his head. I don't want this whole video to just be me saying John Carpenter version good, Rob Zombie version bad, but the kind of remakes I enjoy are the ones that give a different and interesting perspective on the original. And granted, this is different, but we're only 4 minutes in and you've already given me a migraine with the stupid shit you've come up with.
Let me tell you something, that freak of yours, he needs some serious discipline. I mean, he runs around like a little bitch.
You leave him alone. Keep your hands off him.
Give me a fucking break, he's probably a queer. He's gonna grow up, end up cutting his dick and balls off and changing his name to Michelle.
This movie's gonna suck, isn't it? Okay, so then Michael goes to school where he gets bullied by Judy from Spy Kids? What the fuck? How do you go from Spy Kids to fucking Rob Zombie's Halloween?
The guy's gotta do what he's gotta do. From saving cats in trees to finding lost toys.
I heard your sister got caught selling blowjobs in the bathroom. I heard they had to pump the cum out of her stomach.
This is so surreal. Maybe, I don't know.
Check this out. I was thinking of making copies of Mommy for the whole school.
Shut up! Shut up! You yell my face, you bitch! What the hell is going on here? Bring it up! I said bring it up!
Fuck you.
What did you say, son?
Yeah, fuck you for helping me break up this fight that I was unwillingly thrown into. I thought we were supposed to sympathize with this version of Michael Myers. Isn't that the point of giving him a more detailed backstory? So then Michael's mom gets sent to the school where she meets...
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Miss Myers, this is Dr. Loomis. I took the liberty of calling him in.
Oh shit, Malcolm McDowell was Dr. Loomis? Now we're getting somewhere. So then she finds out that her kid kept a dead animal in his bag and pictures of dead animals, and she doesn't question any of this. She's literally just like,
Big deal. He found a dead cat.
oh, so what? He found a dead animal. It's not like he's a psycho or anything. I mean, I get it. Moms tend to have a really favorable bias towards their kid, but I seriously don't think anyone would ever have such an underwhelming reaction to something like this.
Are you saying Michael did this? Michael loves animals. Why would he do this?
Mrs. Myers, typically the thrill of hurting or causing pain to smaller creatures, it's often an early warning sign.
Early warning sign for what?
What do you mean early signs of what? Is it really that hard to put the pieces together? Your kid is killing animals for fun. Your kid's a fucking psycho. So then Michael runs out of the office and no one even tries to go after him. Okay, my middle school years were like 10 years ago, but I distinctly remember there being enough people in the office to know if someone just bolted out of the room when they weren't supposed to.
Man, if I get one more fucking detention, I'll be fucking expelled. My old man's gonna beat my ass.
Gotta get that piece of shit on the weekend so we don't get in trouble.
Dude, if I see that Myers pussy, he's fucking dead.
Wow, such stellar fucking dialogue. For fuck's sakes, fuckity fucking just fuck. Okay, to be fair, this is actually pretty accurate to how middle schoolers talk. Okay, so then we just see this guy just walking around in the woods like, oh gee, I sure hope no one kills me right now. I'm just taking a break from my bullying to enjoy the great outdoors. It's not like I'm in a horror movie or anything. Oh! So then Michael starts beating the bully with a piece of tree bark, and I guess he broke his legs even though the bark doesn't really look like it can do that much damage. And then Judy's face starts bleeding even though we never see the bark make contact with the kid's face.
Please help!
Wait, did he just say please help?
Please help!
Yes, please help me, psycho kid that's trying to kill me. There's a psycho kid that's trying to kill me. Oh wait.
Don't hurt me!
Don't hurt you? I think it's a little late for that. Hey Rob, I'm a little confused about the script. Yeah, what are you confused about? Well, it says please don't hurt me when my head is already bleeding to shit and my legs are broken. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to say please don't kill me since, you know, I'm already hurt. No, it's supposed to say don't hurt me. Yeah, just say the line. Morty. And it's the first kill of the film, and the victim is a bully that we don't feel sorry for, and the weapon is a weak-looking tree bark. The horror! So then we see Michael at home where he watches The Thing, because that's a thing that happened in the original. Hey, get it? Thing that happened, whatever.
You really torture and kill own worthless animals, boy. Make you feel like a real badass motherfucker killer, huh? That is some deep-ass, serious, faggoty ass shit, man.
Ugh, this fucking dialogue. Haha, it's funny because he still thinks he's a pussy even after killing an animal and isn't taking the whole psycho shit the least bit seriously. Okay, so Michael's sister decides to be a fucking bitch and not take her brother trick-or-treating. So then he just sits outside all by himself, and then it just becomes this weird fucking montage that cuts to Michael's mom at her stripper job, then back to Michael, then back to her mom again, and then back to Michael again. What's the point of any of this? I mean, we were already told through dialogue that Michael's mom is a stripper. Nothing really significant happens in this scene, so is it just there for sex appeal? Because it's impossible for me to get hard when you're constantly cutting back to some middle school kid. Are you trying to hint at some weird Oedipus complex that's going on in Michael? I mean, the fact that you match this scene to the song Love Hurts kind of makes this scene all the more uncomfortable. I mean, this has got to be the worst attempt at sex appeal I've seen since Boondock Saints 2.
It was the goddamn OK Corral in here.
Keep them closed, alright? I got a surprise for you. Open.
Oh, so that's where the iconic Michael Myers mask came from. It was just some random mask that belonged to this idiot that was fucking Michael Myers' sister at the time. I know at the end of the day, the Michael Myers mask was just a William Shatner mask painted white, but in the context of the story in the original, I just assumed that this was a mask that Michael fabricated himself. So in the context of this version, what is this even supposed to be? You think he would get like a Wolfman mask or something. Why would he buy such a minimalistic mask if there's no real context behind it?
Wow.
What?
Take that stupid thing off.
Come on, babe. I want to do it with the mask on.
Okay, now you're just trying to piss off fans of the original. So we're 15 minutes in and we finally get to the part where Michael Myers kills his family. So before he kills his stepdad, he duct tapes him to the couch and he doesn't even wake up to any of this shit. I mean, come on, I know he was drinking, but he didn't seem drunk enough to not wake up to any of this. He was just his usual self.
Stop it. Michael? Michael, what the fuck are you doing in here? Answer me. Michael? Michael! Answer me! What the fuck? Michael! Answer me!
Really? How do you not notice the blood on his hands? Or the knife in the other for that matter? Seriously, this girl deserves a freaking Darwin Award for how unobservant she is. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep slapping him even though he looks like he just killed someone. And each death is long and dragged out because dragging out scenes is the same thing as building suspense, right? No. It's not. You see, one of the reasons why suspense works in the original is because most of the time, you have no idea what the actual outcome is going to be. One of the most memorable scenes from the original is the laundry scene. We first see Michael Myers outside of the laundry room, then we think he's in the room with Annie, then there's a long period of time where we don't see Annie at all, and then we hear Annie yell in pain.
Annie, popcorn!
And at this point we think, oh shit, not only did Michael kill her, but this kid is going to be the first person to see her corpse. But no, it turns out she was just stuck in the window. Sure, it was a fake-out scene, but stuff like that is a good way to keep your audience on edge. The problem with this scene and the scene where the bully dies is that you build up these characters as shitty people that were ruining Michael's life, so of course they were gonna die, and you killed them at the most predictable time. So any attempt to build suspense before it happens just feels like a waste of time. Oh god, is he gonna kill the baby? Oh no, he just put his knife down and took his mask off immediately. So you dragged out the death scenes of the people that we know are going to die and don't care because they're assholes. But for this scene, you just had to let the audience know right away that he wasn't going to kill an innocent baby. I'm not saying you should have killed the baby. What I am saying is that you fail at suspense. Alright, so then his mom comes home to find Michael outside, and then she finds out that her son killed her family.
Custody this hour in connection with tonight's brutal murders. The bloody
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have acted like your son killing innocent animals was nothing, you fucking idiot. Also, if you want to make a more realistic and gritty retelling of Halloween, it would have helped to have an actress that can do a better job at acting like your family just died. It doesn't really sound like she's crying at all, it just sounds like she's making weird noises. Am I the only one who finds this scene really underwhelming? Okay, this shot is actually kinda cool. One thing I can give Rob Zombie credit is that he can make a film look good if he tries, and this visual of everything frozen in place, it's alright. Though I have to wonder what Michael is staring at in the context of the story. I mean, yeah, he's looking at the camera, but like, what's he actually like looking at it? Is he looking at a bird? So then the movie cuts to a couple months later at the asylum where Michael is stationed.
Tell me, Michael, What do you remember about that night, Halloween?
What do you mean, like my costume and candy?
No, you idiot. He was asking about the people that you fucking murdered.
So you remember nothing about the killing? You remember nothing about getting a knife?
Mm-mm. I didn't do that.
Oh, okay. But you were covered in blood. Whose blood was it?
Okay, what the hell are they implying with this I don't remember killing people bullshit? Is he just playing dumb, or is the movie implying that he was possessed or some shit? Well, that would just like contradict everything that we were shown earlier. Oh shit, it's Danny Trejo!
Hey, Mikey. How you doing? Look, you can't let those walls get you down. Believe me, I know. I spent a little time behind walls. I know they can drive you crazy. You gotta look beyond the walls. You know, learn to live inside your head. Hey, there's no walls that can stop you there.
This is what I like about Trejo. He's able to make even the shittiest films at least a little more entertaining.
Look at my mask.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Yeah. Why is it all black?
Because it's one of my favorite colors.
Well, actually, black isn't a color, is it? It's the absence of color. In the spectrum of colors, you go from black, which is no color, all the way through to white, which is every color. So technically, not that it really matters, but black isn't a color.
You know, I like this idea of showing the conversations between Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis on the surface, but what do we actually gain from watching these scenes? Well, we learned that black isn't a color, their words, not mine, and we learned that Michael is apparently racist against British people.
Why do you talk so funny?
Fucking asshole. So after a couple of scenes of, well, pretty much nothing, we get this stupid scene. Michael's mom decides she wants to go home after visiting Michael, so they decide to leave this psychotic killer alone with a nurse, completely defenseless. And the nurse just keeps her eyes off of this killer like a fucking idiot, and Michael just stabs her with a fork. What the fuck did you guys think was going to happen, you stupid sacks of shit? Also, what kind of asylum would give their patients actual silverware to eat food? I'm pretty sure actual nut houses give their patients plastic silverware to prevent this kind of shit from happening. So after that, Michael's mom comes home to watch some family videos, you know, all depressed and shit, and she kills herself. Oh, for fuck's sake! Okay, normally I'm not the type of person to shame a suicide victim and acting like what they did was selfish, but you have a fucking baby in your house! If you're seriously so deep into depression that you can't raise your baby, at least give it up for adoption before putting a bullet in your head. I know, I'm supposed to feel sorry for this woman, but I just fucking can't. First she ignores all the signs that her kid could be capable of hurting people, then she gets all pissed at people that are trying to help her, and when her shitty parenting blows up in her face, she pulls this shit. You are one of the worst parents in any film ever. Fucking BoJack Horseman had a better mother. So yeah, that was the origin story of Michael Myers as told by Rob Zombie. Well, we learned that he grew up in a shitty household and that he was bullied in school. And that's it, really. We didn't really get to know what Michael was like before his brain went wrong, like if he had any friends that betrayed him in the end, any ambitions, like what he wanted to be when he grew up. Because right from the start, we see him killing his pet rat. And we didn't learn anything from the asylum scenes either, other than the fact that he really didn't want to be there. So what exactly did we gain from extending Michael Myers' origin story from 5 minutes to 35 minutes? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If Rob Zombie wanted to tell the story right and turn Michael into a sympathetic and tragic character, he should have shown a gradual decrease from a normal functioning kid to the psycho that he ended up becoming. Instead, the movie just throws you right in the middle of the crazy side of Michael, much like the original did, and drags it out for 35 minutes. Yeah, but Ryan, wouldn't your idea take up even more time? Yeah, it would. Probably enough time to fill up an entire feature-length film. And maybe that's what Rob Zombie should have done. Instead of subjecting this to 35 minutes, just flesh out the story a little more and write it better so it doesn't suck so much. And make it into an hour-and-a-half prequel titled Halloween, The Origin of Michael Myers. Now you might be thinking, but that wouldn't feel like a real Halloween film. People would probably watch that film and feel cheated because they barely got to see Michael Myers kill people until the very end. The last film that strayed away from the Halloween formula was Halloween 3, and everybody hated it at the time. Well, okay, then don't make it about Michael Myers. Don't even give it the Halloween name. I would have loved to have seen a completely original film that wasn't a remake or a prequel, about a kid who, through a series of life-changing events that was out of his control, was sent into a psychotic madness that he couldn't escape out of. I mean, hell, give this idea to Darren Aronofsky. He knows how to make a fucked up movie and make it work. And sure, maybe what I described was the story that Rob Zombie intended, but it feels so rushed and poorly handled overall that it gave me no reason to sympathize with Michael Myers or care about what's going on in general. At the end of the day, Michael Myers' origin story was much better when it was summarized the way it was in the original, because that film knew what the main focus should be. It was more about the victims of Michael Myers and the mystery of what he actually is. Is he a boogeyman? Is he just a crazy man with a knife? I don't know. That's what's scary about it. You don't know. And you know what the worst part is? This movie isn't even over yet. Remember, this isn't just a retelling of Michael Myers' origin story. It's also a remake of the first film. The whole film. God help us all.